back to my little corner of cyberspace. As always, I'm Carl with Targets the Attitude. And hadn't actually intended to do this video, especially not on such an odd day as I'm doing, but recently I had a little postscript to one of my videos, specifically the video on where I was reviewing the Ruger LCK made by CRKT. And people were taking exception to some of the things I said in the comment. I guess I didn't phrase myself well. I mentioned two reviewers who I have followed for years, long before I started doing my own reviews, and who I really do respect, and that's namely late Boyscout and Nutnfancy. And rewatching the postscript, yeah, I guess I can understand where people might think I was dissing them. No, I really wasn't, or at least I didn't mean to. The whole ramble was kicked off by another reviewer, who I will not name, who called the Ruger LCK nothing special because it wasn't a Kershaw knife that he especially liked. And it kind of annoyed me because, okay, there is nothing wrong with comparing one knife to another. I don't happen to do it most of the time. Others do. Nutnfancy and late Boyscout both tend to bring in comparison knives. What got me about the guy I was complaining about was that he was really cutting down on the LCK because it wasn't identical to this Kershaw knife that he especially liked. Okay, when the late Boyscout compares knives, he doesn't tell you which one is better because this, that, or the other. He will tell you, okay, here are two knives, similar function, similar design. This one is heavier than this one. Maybe this one's lighter than this one. This one has made with better steel. Basically saying, if you like this knife, you might also want to check out these. Here are how they compare. But at no time does he tear down the knife he's comparing based simply on what he feels it may lack in comparison with the knives he's comparing it to. He's leaving it up to you to decide, okay, do I want the knife he reviewed, or do I want one of the knives he compared it to because maybe they've got a better, heavier steel that I think will serve my purposes just as well, if not better. And I know the name of this company, whereas I don't know the name of the one late Boyscout is comparing it to. Or maybe, well, that's a nice knife, but I really like the other company better. Or, yeah, that's a nice knife, but I really wish it was made with better steel. He's not telling you to go get the other knives. He's just saying these are options. With Nutnfancy, he goes into philosophy of use, which I can see where he gets that idea. It is handy. I mean, let's be honest. You're not going to use the LCK, which is the whole one that started the whole comparison bit. Same way you would, say, a Royk. Um, the Royk is a much bigger blade, heavier blade. It's designed for different things. So, or say the new Mark 98 from K-Bar. This, where the LCK and the Hesser are both kind of civilized knives, so to speak. This thing has a heavy blade, blunt tip. This is made for utility work in the outdoors. When you're going camping or hunting or something, you need to pry something out. You need to maybe use it to hammer on something. You need to bolite some wood. This is going to do it great. The other two, not so great. So that's where Nutnfancy starts getting into with his philosophy of use. Neither one is going to diss the knife they're reviewing based on whether or not it matches up to their favorite knife from another company. And that's the whole thing that got me going about this one guy. Their philosophies and the way they do their videos are very different from me as well. The late Boyscout is an avid outdoorsman. He shoots most of his videos outdoors, and my wife watches his videos occasionally simply because she loves the scenery behind him. She couldn't care less about the knife he's reviewing. She just likes to see the streams and all the other things. Nutnfancy is ex-military. If I'm remembering correctly, he's a former lieutenant colonel from the Air Force and a pilot. He takes a decided military view of things, and he is a full-fledged prepper in his attitudes on most things, whereas I'm what would be more called a rational prepper. I definitely believe you need to be prepared for disaster, but that comes from having spent so many years in Charleston and having lived through Hugo. You live through a hurricane like Category 4 hurricane like that, and yeah, you're going to make sure that you're set in case another one comes through. You're not going to go through that again without being prepared. So that's but okay, that's Nutnfancy and the late Boy Scout. Me, I'm a former martial artist and healthcare professional who, between cancer and a couple other health problems, got knocked flat on his ass and is currently trying to fight his way back to some semblance of reasonable health. That's why all my videos are being shot right now are shot indoors, not out in the great outdoors. But as my health returns, I might start doing some outside. You never know. As far as why don't I start talking about philosophy of use or comparing things the way Nutnfancy and late Boy Scout do? Well, partly because much as I respect them, I'm not them. I don't want to be them. If I tried, I'd just be a cheap copy, and you don't need another copy. You've got the real thing out there. Why would you want to watch me pretending to be them? No, I want to do what I do best, which is tell you about the knife, tell you why I like it. Like Nutnfancy and the late Boy Scout, if I don't like a knife, I'm probably not going to review it. If I think the knife has potential, but it needs a few things I might still review it, but I'm going to tell you in my review what I think needs to be done. An example would be my recent review of the Ontario survival knife that I did. Knife has a lot of potential. It's 1095 high carbon steel, which is a fantastic steel for that type of knife. It's a classic blade design. I just think the edge geometry leaves something to be desired. But if you're willing to take the time and you have the abilities, you can fix the edge geometry. In which case, it becomes a very useful knife at a pretty decent price. But if you don't have the time or the skills to fix the edge geometry, well, you'll know from my review that this is probably not the knife for you. Admittedly, I said it as nicely as I could because I don't want to come right out and diss the knife. I'm also not going to tell you that it's made of gold if it's made of brass. So, anyway, so yeah, that's basically where I was coming from. I never meant to disrespect Late Boy Scout or Nutnfancy. If they saw that postscript and were offended by it, I apologize. I did not mean to offend you. But at the same time, I definitely stand by what I said about the reviewer who shall remain nameless and my opinions of his style of reviewing. Other than that, yeah, I wish you all luck. Hopefully you'll come back again next week when I post a video of another knife, or who knows, maybe this time I'll post a review of a backpack, or maybe one of the new lights I'm carrying. Come to think of it, I haven't done any reviews of a lot of the survival equipment I'm carrying, so who knows? We'll see what we see. But in the meantime, you take care. I wish you luck. I thank you for watching. And remember, if you're going to do something, no matter how small, even if it's just an apology, do it with attitude. See ya.